I I guess that there's no way of making this simple or easy or straightforward, but about a little over a month ago, 2 months ago, we got a cancer diagnosis. I was diagnosed with jejunal adenocarcinoma, which is a tumor, a cancer in the small bowel, small intestine. And how we found out about all this was very much, it wasn't necessarily planned, but I'll take you through kind of the timeline of what happened. About a little over a year, about a year ago, I had been experiencing some really severe, deep abdominal pains. Went to the doctor. We did some tests, did a colonoscopy, did a full abdominal ultrasound. Nothing came up. Everything was fine. The pain actually went away, and we just carried on with life. We went on a trip that we planned to the UK, spent time with friends and family there, and everything was just fine and peachy. And back in the beginning of June, probably the first week of June, around the 5th and 6th of June, I started to get these same pains again. And my wife will tell you I'm very good at masking when I'm uncomfortable. And that's what I did for a good 2 or 3 weeks. And I was in a lot of discomfort. I will be honest, it was very, very painful. No matter what I was doing, it was just really uncomfortable. And it was high up in my chest, right along the base of where the rib cage ends and the abdomen begins. The pain got to the point where it was just so uncomfortable one evening where my wife just simply said, we need to go to emergency, which we did. And I'll put a timeline along so you can follow kind of the actual days and times of the events. But this was a Tuesday. That was the last Tuesday of June, as I recall. And we ended up down in one of our local hospitals here. And they did some blood work. They did some tests around urine samples. They did some physical tests. And the emergency doctor, there was a resident and then there was kind of a lead doctor, and the lead doctor just simply said, you know, the only way we can figure out what's going on is to actually get you a CT scan with contrast. And so the next morning, off we were back to the hospital to get a CT scan. And it showed what was called thickening of the lining of the small bowel, which means there was a bulge, it was thicker than it should have been. And the interesting thing is they wouldn't let us leave the emergency at all. It was a different doctor. It was on duty on the Wednesday. So this is the last Wednesday in June. Different doctors on call, and literally we moved from room to room so that they could get other people in emergency, because this was done under emergency versus a regular doctor call out and request for a CT scan. So we had the scan done. Later that day, we were told and informed that we were going to go to, or get an appointment rather, to meet with a gastroenterologist for what's called an enteroscopy. So an endoscopy is where they check your stomach lining, duodenum. Enteroscopy goes further past the duodenum. And I'm not trying to give you an anatomy lesson, but the stages are stomach, duodenum, jejunum, ileum, I think. And sure enough, we got an appointment a day later to go on the Monday. So this is the Monday before Canada Day, the 30th of June. Of that date, I am positive. Went and had the enteroscopy done, and the doctor, right then and there, as soon as we'd had the results, she took us into a consult room and said, Mr. Wagner, you have cancer. And look, hearing the word was a shock, but for some reason I'd kind of prepared myself that that's what I was going to hear. And I don't know why I felt that way, but that was just the way it came about. And being the people that we are, there was no tapping of the wrist and holding the hands and there, I'm so sorry. The doctor was super with her bedside manner, and she was outstanding with the way she couched all the information to us. She was detailed, she was clear, she was certainly very compassionate, but she didn't spend any time worrying about asking how we feel. She was just trying to get us information. She drew some pictures, etc., and told us that the next thing would happen. She had taken biopsies. She knew that it was a tumor that was in the jejunum, so it wasn't a full blockage, but it was a tumor that was growing in my small bowel, and it was getting bigger, and it was going to be eventually going to block my bowels. Next step, we say, okay, fine, what do we do now? They took a load of samples. I think they took 14 or 15 samples from the enteroscopy. They went through for a urgent diagnosis, and the Friday we got the diagnosis on the biopsies, which was definitely, there was an adenocarcinoma. It was jejunal adenocarcinoma, aggressive, a rare cancer, and and interestingly, we also had a second CT scan ordered so that they could check to see if it had spread anywhere, because I was getting pains not only across the top of my ribs, but also it was kind of going up into the left side of my chest, partly kind of where your lungs are, obviously, and down the right side of my abdomen. We got through that, and within a few days, we heard from the surgeon's office that we were getting referred to the surgeon. There was a cancer team that was already being established for us. An initial doctor had done the triage. There was a surgeon assigned. They set us an appointment for the following Monday after I'd had the chest scan. And again, I'll put up dates to kind of help you understand how things went and how quickly they went. So that Monday, we are talking with the surgeon, had a wonderful meeting with him. He was incredible. He had a resident working with him. She took all of the information, but she spent a lot of time talking to us. How are you feeling? And one of the things that was really fun, I'll show it on screen later. She said something very complimentary about the kind of person that I presented as, and it was very flattering, and I appreciated her kindness in that moment of weakness and vulnerability. The short outcome from the doctor's visit, the surgeon's visit, was simply, this is urgent, you don't have a blockage, but it's rare cancer, it's aggressive cancer, and we need to get this out. And so they told me that I'd be scheduled urgently for surgery. This was on a Monday. That next morning on a Tuesday, I get a call from his office from his assistant. She was fabulous the whole time. She's been in contact with us constantly. She chased down results for tests. She made sure that we got scheduled for things like tumor marker tests. Those of you who have been through this yourselves or have had somebody go through it know that that's all part of the process. By the way, tumor marker test came back, again, part of the timeline. That was the day we saw the surgeon. That came back very low based on the tolerance level. So all of that, along with the results of the second CT scan, which literally came in just before we went to see the surgeon, showed that it was just located in the one part of my body, which was a great relief and we saw it as a great blessing. That Tuesday, as I said, get a call about 8 o'clock in the morning. You're scheduled for surgery next Tuesday at 8 a.m. and you need to be at the hospital at 6:30. And so we went through a week of waiting. We went through all the emotions of the things that people think about when cancer's been diagnosed. We thought about, what did it mean for us? We thought about, what did it mean for our family, our children, our grandchildren? And the whole time, we've had this kind of peace. I won't go into the details around surgery and hospital. That's going to be in the next video. But as far as the journey goes, I've taken you through what really was quite a whirlwind of a month. We just didn't expect this to happen, but we were so grateful and so appreciative at how quick it moved and how fast it moved and how serious the medical profession saw it. I'll let you know, we live in Canada. We live in just outside of the Ottawa area, and all of this was done except for some of the emergency and the triage, etc., was actually done in Winchester, which is a local hospital about 20 minutes from us. But everything was done in concert with the Regional Cancer Center of the Ottawa General Hospital. And our experience has just been, like, we just couldn't believe how quickly it happened, and how quickly we were treated. Now there's more to the story. There's a lot more to the story. I was just going to look at my notes here to make sure that I've covered everything. Look, as I said, in an upcoming video, I'll look at, I'll bring you into the picture of what was the surgery experience, the hospital experience, the recovery experience like. We have had the follow-up with the surgeon, a bit of a teaser. I'll give that again in a later video. But look, I just want to say how thankful and grateful I am for all of you who are watching this. Appreciate your support. If you've come here after seeing my introductory video, which was not the most professional, nor is this, but it gets the information out there. Thank you for viewing. If this is your first time, I hope you'd consider subscribing if it's something that interests you. This is a story that I want to tell as part of my aging, as part of my silver years rising. And I just want to make sure that I get that information out there, and maybe some that resonate with this story, and hopefully it can be a little bit of help to you that if you're going through a similar experience. Certainly, if you are so inclined, I'd appreciate a like on the video. Comment below. I will respond to comments, and I may not be quite as fast, but I will respond to comments. And appreciate you being with us. And again, it's a journey that we're on, and we're looking forward to continuing and seeing where this is going to end up. Thank you again, and appreciate you joining me today.